guys, it's Levon here at Firepunk. Today we're going to be doing a product demonstration of the Anteater standalone transmission controller for 47 and 48 REs. The Anteater is something we've had on the market for a few years, and we're releasing the Pro version today with the digital display, the tap shift function, and some software upgrades. We're going to be going through some unboxing, some install, and software tips. Here we've got the Anteater Pro. I'm going to open it up and see what comes in the box. You guys can see this is the controller itself. This is the wiring harness, which has power, ground, and a throttle position sensor signal, and the Pro remote. The Pro remote attaches to the harness, and it also goes into the tap shifter that you're installing. Then you get a sticker, installation instructions, and the USB with the software and the drivers to install on your computer. For general installation, there are 3 wires that you're going to need to connect to your truck, and you have red, black, and blue. Red is key on 12 volt, black is ground, blue is throttle position. For the 12 volt key on, we generally use a fuse tap. It's relatively simple to find a key on 12 volt fuse. You can tap into this. This taps into your red wire, which is also protected by a fuse, and the ground goes to the battery or to a very good chassis ground. It is important that these are good connections. Anytime you're making a connection that is not through a fuse tap, make sure you use a connector that can be heat shrunk, that is weatherproof, because if you're anywhere in the north that gets salt on the roads, one winter of salt and corrosion, you have bad connections and problems begin in your connectivity. Okay, a quick demonstration of the throttle position signal tap. This is what the blue wire connects to. On a 05 to current pedal, this is the throttle pedal, obviously. Pin 2 is what we're connecting to on the signal wire on the 05 to current. On the throttle position sensors that are on the shelf of the engine, it is pin 3 for the 1998 to 2004 and a half trucks. The next thing that we do on the install is we will find a place to securely mount our controller and our remote. That way we can run our harnesses to that. And I'll show you on the quad cap here where I have my controller mounted, my remote, and we'll go from there. We found a good spot to mount these controllers is often off of this tab. We'll make a little right angle bracket and mount them right here so it's secure up out of the rain. On my truck, I mounted it in my battery tray that I turned into a auxiliary electrical box, and it just makes a nice secure connection that it's out of the weather. Here's where I mounted my Pro remote. I try to mount it at a place where I can see the screen and still be able to get to the buttons for overdrive off, the mode, and the tune changes. And I could also run my tap shift wire and the harness wire down underneath my column where it's not getting pinched. So it's just important that this gray wire isn't somewhere where it's tight or kinked or pinched in a panel or anything like that. Another product offered by Firepunk Engineering is the Firepunk Porcupine. There's a little bit of confusion sometimes with what is an Anteater, what's Porcupine, when do I need it. The Porcupine is strictly for 68 to 48 RE swaps. It's a very simple plug-and-play unit that we have made with a 68 RFE plug. It has a circuit board in the back with coding that converts the 48 RE neutral safety switch signal to ground the appropriate pins of the 68 RFE so that you can plug this into your 68 RFE truck when you swap a 48 RE into it, and it makes all your functions work with your park reverse neutral drive display, reverse camera, 4-low, cruise control. Everything will still work with an auto file if you have the Porcupine. So if you're switching from a 68 RFE to a 48 RE, you need a Porcupine. If you want to have all your functions working like an automatic, push button start, everything works. The Anteater is a transmission controller. So this is what controls the 48RE. So if you're swapping a truck with a full manual valve body ratchet shifter, you can use a Porcupine and not an Anteater. But if you want all functions with tap shifter and working like factory, you're going to use both controllers. Here you can see a 04 column, and this is the roll pin right here. Use a punch and a hammer that you knock out. You can see it's spring loaded. But this is the 07.5 to 09 tap shifter. So any third gen 03 to 0759 can be swapped into the tap shifter style shifter. We buy these from Dodge. I think list on them is $104. So you can call us, we can send you one, or you can order it directly from Dodge or try to find a used one. But it bolts right in place of the factory 03 to 0759 column. Okay guys, next we're going to install the software. This comes on your flash drive. You plug this in your computer, obviously, and this will bring up your USB drive. Setup is what you want to run. This should install the software and the drivers. Do you want to install this application? You hit install. Quick, simple process. Now your dash is installed and we are ready to connect. I've got the micro USB cable hooked up to the remote to the computer and the key turned on, and we select connect. This brings up COM3, which is where we're connected, and now we should be live. I'm going to run my throttle position on my truck. You can see it go from 0 to 100% based on where my pedal is, and that's how you can tell if your throttle position is calibrated correctly. Going into calibrating your throttle position and tuning, go to design calibration. That brings up your Anteater Pro configuration, and this is if you go to the bottom, you can see where you have throttle position minimum voltage and maximum voltage. I usually back probe the throttle position signal wire and read what my voltage signal is at 0% throttle and what my voltage is at 100% throttle. You input those values in the software here, and that's why you get a full 0 to 100% scaling. The next thing you do is go to tire size, select your tire size. On this truck it's 33 inch and the differential ratio is 373 gears. The governor pressure modifier, I usually set at 60 psi. Anytime if you have a first to third shift, we lower that governor pressure modifier down to say 50 psi. I can go in depth on how that really works, but if you set it at 60, set your throttle valve at 80%. That should take care of, it should shift correctly. If you have questions or problems with that, email me, message me. We'll be glad to explain how that works. Okay, now I've modified my tune file. This is how the tune file I have built for the quad cab. This is how I like to drive it. Again, we end up sending the Anteater Pros out with a base file similar to this, but every truck is different in its own way. Turbo size, you want your RPMs to shift different points, personal preference. We try to teach guys on how to build their own software. That way you can take full advantage of having a standalone controller to get the shift points that you personally like. I have Tune 1 for daily driving, and I also race on this tune for the most part. I've got second gear lockup commanded here after 80% throttle. You can see that over here. If I am actually racing where I think I might, if I'm pushing it really hard where I might spin, I run what I call a flatline tune. And this makes so that regardless of where my throttle position is, it's not going to shift until it gets to the mile per hour that I want. And that makes so if I'm going 100% throttle and it spins when it gets in a lockup and I have to let off the throttle, it doesn't bounce back and catch the next gear when I pedal it. It keeps all my shift points correct. It just makes it easier in a if you're racing and you're spinning and you have to pedal it situation, make sure your shift points are still on point. Tune 2 I have set up for really low shift points for when I'm in 4-low if I sled pull the truck. Something I don't use very often, but it's there if I need it. And then Tune 1 is something I use most of the time. I just run it with that, and if I don't like those shift points, I will run my tap shifter. So now let's save this file. I've already got it saved. I'm just going to resave the file. And we close out of this, and we go to the function where it says Write to Controller. Select that. Select your tune file. Open it. It says successfully wrote to the controller. And I can see that we're still live. Throttle position is still correct. We're ready to go drive it. Okay, a little demonstration of the controller powered up. This is in my quad cab. You can see the mode function is the first button. This is what changes it to manual mode, back to auto mode, and the tap shifter also automatically changes it into manual mode if you start changing gears while driving down the road. And then you just jump back into auto mode. This is the tune button where it changes between your tune files that you've selected in your software, and this is your overdrive off button. When the overdrive off light is on, and then it will not command overdrive unless you manually override it in manual 4th gear. So if it is true manual mode, so if I try to take off from a dead stop in 4th, it will take off with overdrive on. So it is your responsibility as a driver, if you're manual mode, to make sure that you downshift correctly, or you can damage your transmission. Okay, we're going to take off in auto mode, and I'm going to show you how the display changes. I can see my throttle position and mile per hour on this screen as well. And anytime we have our dancing dots, we know that we are connected and the Anteater is working. 2nd gear, 3rd gear. You'll see when the torque converter clutch goes to on, lockup comes in, and 4th gear is overdrive. And then for manual mode, we can just drop it down to 3rd, turns overdrive off. I'm going to slow down, go around this curve up here, and I'm going to run it in manual mode. Kick it down to 2nd. It just drops gears. 1st gear. Wind it out. 1st. 2nd. 3rd. Instant response. There's a little bit delay in the 3/4 shift. That is a hydraulic circuit delay, not in the controller. The controller changes instantaneous. But driving down the road, if you want to drop a gear and pass a car, just drop it to 3rd, takes overdrive off, back into 4th. It's just handy for, I use the manual mode more for towing trailers when I'm going through towns and I want to lock it in 2nd gear. If I want 2nd gear lockup, which is commanded at 40 mile an hour here, I can wind it out in 2nd and then lock up. And you could also do one of your tune files and have a lower mile per hour for lockup if you want to manually select lowering the 2nd gear lockup for going up hills and curves on a winding road. That's kind of your call on how you want to set it up. As a general rule for daily driving, we don't do 2nd gear lockup on a daily driver tune-up. Only wide open throttle runs is when we lock the converter in 2nd. Jumping back into auto mode, and that'll downshift on its own and just drive however you have the tune file set up. Please leave comments if you guys got any questions. We're glad to help in any way. That's what we're here for. Also, Levon at firepunk.com is a good way to get a hold of me if you've got questions or you want my tune file. I'll send it to you, no problem. But if you got any questions, please ask. And if you like the video, like and subscribe to the channel. We'd be glad to have you on for our next product demonstration videos and other dyno and racing fun.